Time for another episode of the Nailsin Ratings, looking at what else The Walking Dead. This episode, of course, was called Worth. It is the second to last of this season of Season 8. So far, has Season 8 righted the ship that was so badly devastated by Season 7? No, it has not. There's been some bright spots, but for the most part, I don't know that the show can be salvaged. I keep saying there's one story to tell. Here you didn't have as so many glaring mistakes as the previous episode, which I gave, I believe I gave it 4 stars. Just overall feel and atmosphere of it. But still, you had some glaring mistakes there. I mean, pretty obvious that both Rick and Negan and Morgan would have met their ends in the situation they were in. But, yeah, show's got to do that somehow, some way. Batman escapes. Anyway, this episode, where you finally have Simon get what's coming to him as he was manipulating to seize power from Negan, what you would have expected to happen at some point after he was being so nasty. You also have to accept that Negan, for the most part, is in enormous amount of denial into thinking that somehow, some way, Rick was going to come around and be his lieutenant. In his conversation with Michonne on the walkie-talkie about Carl's letter. And, that's it, there's no chance. I'm going to kill every last one, and this is all Rick's fault and everything. This is Negan, you're a brutal murderer. You murdered his friends in front of him. You threatened his son repeatedly and so forth. And the really delusional idea of when he first took Daryl in, was going to turn Daryl and all that. This was just absurd. And the only way to explain this is that, he's this delusional man that's in serious denial, and yet he maintains the leadership of this group, and despite the better efforts to take him down, and considering the mess they're in, and how they almost lost it all with the attack, with the zombies coming in and everything, you would think Simon probably would have had more of a crew to mount the coup on it. And I don't know, maybe they should have gone that way. But no, they're going to keep Negan around, and I suspect it's going to end up the way it did in the comic book. Even though they've jumbled things around, it looks like the magical community that in the comic book series that they've discovered, they're already going to jump to that, because I'm pretty sure that's who that woman was with her 2 Amazon bodyguards. and the helicopter, I would assume, is part of that as well. And so there you go. Meanwhile, Dwight, of course, is found out. I had completely forgotten about this girl who knew the truth, but she had gotten separated from the group and was wandering in the forest, surviving on her own. And then, nope, she happens upon Negan when he's traveling back to the sanctuary. And so, so Negan pulls this whole plot to take care of his backstabbing lieutenants here. So, what's going to happen to Dwight afterwards? Well, we'll find out. But still, to reaffirm his manliness, Negan gave Simon a chance to beat him in hand-to-hand combat for who was going to be the alpha male and chief of the tribe. And, of course, Negan won. It could have gone bad for Negan, because Simon looked like he was in better shape from my viewpoint, but you never know. The only thing missing was the Star Trek battle music of dun, 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 dun. But no, they didn't do that. And of course, Eugene, it appears, has completely gone to the dark side after nearly being killed by Rosita and Daryl. And so, well, what are you gonna do? Of course, through the genius plan of Negan, there's now a trap waiting for Rick and crew. But Aaron is pleading with the secret camp of women who no longer have guns because Rick and crew took them all. But I guess at the last minute they'll come up from behind while Negan's got Rick surrounded and suddenly attack Negan's guys with spears. They'll make like the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi and defeat the evil Empire. And that's that. Negan, maybe they'll kill Negan, they'll deviate from it, but from all the preaching about we're better than this and we've got to work together and build society, all that sort of stuff, I think Negan's going to end up the way he did in the comic book, which is in a jail cell rather than being executed. And since they are going to probably merge with this new community, which, of course, has its own villain, if you've been reading the comics. Surprise, surprise. They might even have a prison system there for, lawbreakers, if you will. So, that's about it. Yeah, I guess I'll give this one 4 out of 5 stars. Just in the context of it's a bad show overall now. It has fallen so far from its former glory that even a rather mediocre and sort of adequate show shines forth. So you had some good performances here. You didn't have too many things that were so ridiculous that wouldn't happen. It was too much to buy. So yeah, I'll give it the 4 stars. I seriously doubt I'm going to give the finale 5 stars. Nothing could get 5 stars out of this, but I don't know where they could go if they're not going to tell the story of the virus. I don't know where else they can go. All they can do is show the buildings of a beachhead and a community and a society, and Rick dies happy like Moses at the doorway, and life goes on. You would think that Fear the Walking Dead has promise, but just crossing over with Morgan is just a stunt at this point. But where can they go to? I mean, it's just a copy of Walking Dead, so eventually they're going to end up being extremely repetitive just as much as the first show was. So if they're not going to go into the virus, which they should have done, that was the only reason to spin off to do that. And then you slowly fade off Walking Dead as this one deals with what the virus was, and then you end it. You can't milk this cow forever. It's going to stop producing, and the ratings do show it. So for the heights that it achieved, you owed the show for its integrity to give it a conclusion that it deserved, rather than flailing about and beating this dead zombie. Meanwhile, the comic book series is no better. For a while there, it seemed to be better than the series because of the downward spiral that the TV series had. But no, of course, it's the same problem. Everything's repetitive. There's nowhere to go. And it's gotten to the point where they're introducing really absurd characters. Most notably, this princess character, who is just awful. And goes into dialogue that's, social issues and stuff like that, which is the kind of that just pulls you immediately out of the story. And there's a scene earlier on when she's introduced that Michonne would have chopped her head off. The little stunt she pulled. In the latest issue, she gets into a fight with a bunch of giant men in armor and defeats them. And she's a little girl, basically, this toothpick-limbed person. And it's just a zombie comic. There's no superpowers in it. So it's done. It's done. It's sad. I wish it weren't. I wish it was treated better, and it obviously needed its conclusion, and there's nowhere else for it to go. So I guess that's it for The Walking Dead. All right, there you go. Imagine that. This was a 4 out of 5 stars review, but there it is. Walking Dead worth, and the Walking Dead comic book series as it is now, which is just as dead as the TV series. So there you go. Boy, we'll can't wait till next weekend, huh? We'll see you then, I guess. Do check out the link description below for my stores. It has lots of goodies for you. Like and subscribe, or at least just subscribe. And see you again. And again, thanks for watching and listening.